Welcome to Kerbal Space Program One Small Step. Community-based, multiplayer, alternate history scenario where a bunch of countries that you never should have had a space program, well, and some that do, decide that all we're going to do is invest all of our money into space programs and colonize the entire solar system. Well, maybe. Who knows if we'll make it that far. The countries that are included in this are the United States, China, Canada, Japan, United Kingdom, Poland, France, North Korea, Russia, Mexico, Italy, and of course, me, Sweden. You can think of it as a very cursed version of For All Kerbal Kind, made by Beardy and N9 and Carnas, and the other one, I don't know. But just to get us going on here, this video is a little interesting because it's a recap, because I've done a bunch of launches on other platforms. But I want to switch to YouTube because I like making YouTube videos more than TikToks. From now on, they will all be YouTube videos, but we have a lot to catch up on, so this video is going to be a lot longer because it's a summary, as well as a couple new launches as well. And I hope to be posting them a lot quicker than this one was made. So, other than that, please enjoy my very terrible voiceover because we did not write a script. So here we go. This is me doing 20 minutes of voiceover with no script because we do not have enough time to script everything, and this video is already taken way too long to edit. So we're going to just try this, no takebacks. There's going to be probably 50 mistakes, but it does not matter. I'm going to try my best to do this the best we can, as we already have the first launch going, which is just the Fremstag capsule test and a launch abort. As we can see, it's already done it. But holy moly, I've never done a voiceover. This is going to be very silly. But we're just gonna say, F it, we ball. The capsule test has gone successfully. It's already landed back on the ground, and we're gonna go on right to the next one, which is our test of the Abisko R22 Bravo. Okay, this is already good. I know. Many camera views. This is gonna be so cursed. No matter. I'm not gonna get off script. Alright, as we can see, it's pulling away. This has so many great camera views of this absolutely garbage launch vehicle. Its first stage, after the boosters drop away, is really underpowered. It barely gets 1G of acceleration, so you're really just floating there. It's just a piece of crap. It can't really get to orbit. It can get itself to orbit if the second stage would ignite, as it fails. And oh yeah, just put icing on the cake as the interstage drops away with nothing. I'm sure this could not get any worse as it falls and lights on fire in the atmosphere. Ah, lovely. Surely will burn up and totally not hit the ground. No, it's not. No. It's gonna land in a field somewhere. Surely can't be that bad. No. Oh, it's Russia. I'm sure they're great people. I'm sure their government won't yell and scream and cry about us landing in their country. This is not gonna. Well, no matter, we gotta move on to our next one. This is gonna be the first satellite. We did some changes, and hopefully the second stage actually ignites. But you probably heard from the last one, this rocket can't get to orbit, so how the heck are we gonna get a satellite? Well, I kind of used my brain for once and decided, wait, we could just take the SRB stack from the Fremstag capsule test, which is the first thing where we launched up and did the launch abort test, and just slap it on the top of this and put a tiny satellite and use the rocket to just get us into space and get as much velocity as we can, and then just yeet the SRB stage out and hopefully pray it gets to orbit and just pray to the Kraken. It's kind of just what NASA did with Explorer 1. It's genius. It can't go wrong. And actually it doesn't for once, as we watch as our beautiful rocket, totally not piece of garbage, enters. Look at this. The second stage barely can. You have to point 40 degrees up. It's so inefficient. But under that, we can deploy the SRB, and it's been stabilized. So it should hopefully maintain attitude. And if we're lucky, it should. Okay. This is the part of the one try, no script. I forgot I added this. Oh well. How was your day? Oh, here we go. And deploy the satellite. And there goes. We have successful deployment. And definitely an onboard camera on our first satellite, for sure. This is not CGI. Actually gets up into a pretty high orbit, way above the Earth. And there's a beautiful picture of our true goal now, the moon. Alright, next. We're gonna put a Swede in space. Actually 2, because this capsule can support 2 astronauts. We have Jessica Meir. Come on, Jessica, you're embarrassing me here. Please, Jessica, it's a door. Please. Yes, she said. And Gustav Gust, our brave pilot today, will be bringing us to the stars for the first time. Manned spaceflight in Sweden. We can do it. Oh, no, did it just? Nope, that was, you did not see it drop. That was fake. It took off perfectly. Again, we do not need to see this piece of crap launch again. So we're just gonna kind of fast forward here. But they do make it to space. This is basically like the Mercury Redstone launch. They're definitely not making it to orbit, but they definitely are making it to space, as we're already going kilometers a second at 57 kilometers. It's going to be a bit of a rough re-entry, but the second stage should try to give us as much horizontal velocity to level out those G-forces. But it's still going to be pretty high. We'll have to survive some bone-crushing Gs. Let's see how high they get to as we re-enter. Ooh, that's high. That's 11 Gs. That's pretty rough, as Gustav is freaking out, but cool-headed Jessica doesn't seem too bothered by her current circumstances as they fall into some sort of body of water. I have no clue where they are, but I trust our great recovery teams to wherever they are. They'll get them back. And finally, with that, we get to move on to our actual good rocket, the Aurora S1, which I absolutely love how it turned out. It looks really cool. I love the fuel tanks, the decals on the side, which you'll see as it goes through its roll program. There it is. The little verniers, SRBs, it all just works. Of course, this is the beginning of the true kind of ideology of the space program, which is a bunch of hydrolox, because hydrolox is the only fuel you need. You don't need anything else. As we go through our SRB set. Beautiful separation. Beautiful. We need like the Korolev cross of S3 Industries. It'll be beautiful. But as I was saying, we need a beautiful, all you need is hydrolox, as you can see by this beautiful graph. I am the king of hydrolox in OSS. It is, and who needs methane? I'm the better cryosop, even though we stand together. I'm still better. As we see our first, as it's, I just realized I've not talked about this mission. This is a lunar flyby. Oh gosh, I'm off script without the script. It also uses an SRB because we're just testing that because we will need to use that for outer planets. So I thought I'd get pretty good at this now because I kind of want to, once I get to the moon, put someone on the moon, I'm going to really focus on outer planets, and the SRBs are just an easy, cheap way. So I'm trying to learn how to accurately use them. This one, as you can see, it's a meter per second off, and we're basically 5 miles off target. More like 4,000 kilometers, but it was good first attempt. Unfortunately, the probe has no ability to correct its course, but it will still count as a flyby. But oh well, whatever. You get a nice little flyby view. You got 4,370, give or take. It's going to be our closest approach. As we move on to the crewed version of the Aurora S1, two of them actually, you can see both in view, as again, another test light in the bottom right. I'll probably saw a couple of those because just in OSS rules I need to prove that I've tested them, and that's why those are there at the bottom. We're going to actually skip through this launch because we're doing two identical launches, and the second one's more interesting, and you'll see why in just a second. As we have the crew access tower turn away. And we have liftoff. The reason this launch is interesting is because we have waited exactly one orbit for the previous launch to get into a rendezvous position. And because we're such high latitude, as you can see, our space center has Earth's rotated with the Earth away from the orbit. So we have to perform a dogleg maneuver launching south before turning east. And this just allows it, well, not just allows, it's just how a way to catch up. It's obviously not as efficient, but it's a way to get to stuff quicker. As we can see, the descending node actually drops to 0.02, which I'm very happy with for our first attempt at doglegging. And the Aurora S1 easily has enough performance to do that maneuver with margins to spare, as we're getting our encounter, and as you see, the test just finished successfully in the bottom right. As we slowly approach our target, we will see it in our window. Yippee! Another successful mission. Oh, shut up, whoever's in the capsule. I think that would be Mercurius. This is Mercurius 5, so we're looking from Mercurius 4 on Mercurius 5 as both crew get to chat to each other and look at each other through the windows, being the first Swedes to ever be able to see two spacecraft together from orbit. So we now are deorbiting one. Well, we're only going to show one because it's the same thing. They work. We also see this is our backups deorbit system, just in case the other one fails. We'll get stuck in orbit, but we'll still fire it just to get us away from the second stage. Skip through the re-entry, and as we see, they successfully made it. They dropped to the ground again. A very comfortable landing of a small car crash of 6.6 meters a second. Again, another new rocket, the Jupiter 2. This is going to be more of a medium launch vehicle. The test at the bottom was able to get perfectly at 0 meters per second, was able to get a 20-ton payload into orbit. Of course, Meatballs was the payload. But the payload in our current mission is a little more special. It had something to do with the clue was the launch had something in it that this payload will be involved in. Do like the drop tanks because of the Hydrolux being so low density. Got into orbit, and as the payload fairing deploys, we'll see the precious cargo. Come on, stage. Stage. Please, stage. Come on, pass. There we go. There we go. And of course the sun is in a bad angle, but that is our lunar lander. We're not bringing it to the moon today. We're just putting it in orbit to dock to. It is a special lander because it's actually from Yugoslavia. Chad Yugoslavia was able to share the tech with us before they went in bankrupt after their civil war. And we decided to rename it Phoenix because, well, it's getting its second chance in Sweden as it already landed in the moon on Yugoslavia. So, but it still needs to be tested with our hardware, so that's why it's being launched. And this launch right here will be our launch of our Polaris capsule, our new standardized larger capsule used for both orbits and lunar missions. It will have two variants, the lunar rated variant and the orbit rated variant. The capsule and docking port are identical, but the lunar variant will have a larger service module and a slightly extended crew module for the longer missions. As we see this slowly making its way over to our new lunar lander to test docking. We have, of course, Jessica and Gustav in the cockpit. And as we sink through the darkness, as sunrise comes, we have perfectly timed it. Oh my goodness, right, holy script, you know. Come into view of our lander. Mission Control is going to command the lander to face the service module to help with docking. As you see, just flipped around. And Jessica and Gustav are going to come in and hopefully dock successfully with the Phoenix. And just a small window break, or fourth wall break. I was so happy with this. This was all one cut and first try with no HUD. So hype! But here they are, both in orbit. And I guess now that we're in orbit and just chilling as we remove the Phoenix from the upper stage of the Jupiter, I'll kind of go over the lunar architecture for the mission. Right now, this is basically Apollo 9. We're just going to test everything in low Earth orbit because we do not have a lunar-rated spacecraft yet for launch vehicle. Huh? Did I just hear something? Anyways, lunar-rated launch vehicle. So we are going to have to put everything in low Earth orbit with 2 separate launches and test those systems, which we're going to test to fire the engine, as well as just leave the crew in orbit for a couple days to make sure everything checks out. Oh my goodness, this is getting long. Check the solar panels, as well as just make sure that the crew are able to do a full lunar mission. And then the next one, when our moon rocket's actually ready, we will launch everything unmanned, do a lunar landing, and have the capsule return just to test everything. And then we will go for our manned lunar landing on our 3rd launch of our lunar spacecraft, which we will see in our next launch. Oh, goodness. How the heck does Matt Lown do this? I've only talked for, I guess we're approaching the 15-minute mark straight, and oh my goodness. He just yaps and yaps and yaps. Well, anyways, we're probably about to have our first test fire of the lunar lander's engine, and we'll push everything into a higher orbit. There it goes. I just realized now this is pushing everything into a lower orbit. Who knows? You know, this is what happens when you compress 50 or way too many missions into one video, but this needs to come out. It's beautiful. I love the persistent rotation mod. It really makes the spacecraft feel a little more less on rails during time warp. Coming around. Whee! Another beautiful sunrise of many that they will probably see in the Polaris spacecraft, and this mission is successful. We're going to use the lunar lander Phoenix to deorbit everything here so we don't leave any space junk, because we already had way too many. There we go. And also test its relay capabilities, because if that engine doesn't relight on the moon, we might be cooked. We might be screwed. But again, it seems to work perfectly fine. It's one of the more simpler engines, just pressure fed. So we undock, decouple the service module, and prepare for re-entry. Gustav is watching one final sunset in orbit before the blazing light of re-entry from those Firefly re-entry effects. Thank you to Firefly. And Jessica looking as we pass through re-entry, looking at the moon, hoping to be the first Swede on the moon. But who will it be? We'll have to find out. And with that, our capsule is coming to the ground with its parachutes safely touching down. And with that, that is all the launches we have for today. And another thing I forgot to mention at the beginning is that we are actually in a space race with France and Mexico. And right now it doesn't look too good for us. I am behind. Unfortunately, just because of video editing and just how I've done these missions. I don't think we're gonna win, and I might just have to give up. It's unfortunate.
What, he's just given up? Oh, heck no, I cannot allow this to happen. I must take over now. Victory at all costs. Clear my schedule for the next 40 years. We got a space race to win. Victory at all costs. All right, maggots, listen up. We cannot, under any circumstance, lose the race to the moon to the Mexicans and the French. That is why today we are starting the Silver Star program to put a Swede on the moon before the end of 1971. Victory at... Huh? What? They both just landed on the moon even before we tested the Arcturus! Well, in that case, we will just have to land on the sun.
But sir, we can't land on the sun.
Shut up, Gary! It doesn't matter. The Silver Star program will bring us back into the race and surpass the competition. Victory at all costs. After months of work, we present the world's most powerful Hydrolox rocket ever created, the Arcturus 4, Victory at all costs.
Well, with that general guy now in charge, we suddenly have the ability to make a lunar rocket. It's unfortunate that Mexico and France have beaten us, but ours is better anyways, and it's totally not because I spent way too long editing this, and also the cinematic that's coming soon to launch to land the actual people on the moon. You know, unscripted as always. But here we are. We have the Arcturus 4 launch vehicle lifting off. It has a few problems. You'll see. I don't know why. I had to include verniers on it because it wobbles. I tried MechJub. I tried doing it myself. It doesn't have very good stability. I think it's because the gimbals on the really powerful hydrogen engines just aren't good enough for this size of rocket. It's unfortunate, but here we are doing our normal lunar transfer because we're such high latitude. It's just the only way I have found to get an easy lunar encounter is launching into a polar orbit, which means we have to time the launch window to where the angle that you have to, when you launch a rocket normally when you're at the equator, you launch it like a third in. Once you're in orbit, you launch at 30 degrees to the moon. We're doing that just in the polar orbit. Actually, oh shoot. Oh wait, yeah, we are doing that this time. It's just because, well, we're at such high latitude that our orbit, we can't create an orbit that intersects the moon. I don't know, man. I'm not Matt Lown. But another issue with this rocket is that the upper stage, the lunar injection stage, is just too weak. It takes like 10 minutes to do the burn, and so on the human or Kerbal rated rocket, we're definitely gonna add 2 engines because it just takes too long. We're just doing the docking procedure here. I mean, we've already seen this. We know it's gonna work. This time I'm messing with the probe, and my beautiful, beautiful piloting skills causes us to miss, as of course we would, well, why not? I think I back up here, yeah, aim the camera, yep, and back up, and then the overpowered magnets in KSP kind of just take over and it gets docked. I might take that out again. This was just a test, mostly also a test for the cinematic, as well as, all the systems. You might also notice that the lunar module, or the Polaris capsule, does not have parachutes. That is as intended because we don't want our technology to fall into anyone's hands, and we're not really targeting any landing zone on the way back. We're just trying to get there and get back. Coming in just setting the orbit. This me targeting the landing zone. That landing zone has no particular importance. None at all. None at all. We're not actually going to be landing there. We're going to change our landing zone to just something under the orbit, as we have this beautiful, beautiful view of the Earth in the background. The little blue marble. Beautiful. All right, here we go. I think we're going for attempted landing now. Yep. Perfect. Trying to decouple the lander. There it goes. And I think we took the top docking port with us. Oh well. Surely that won't happen in the actual mission. Anyways. Landing was easy. I did it with MechJeb because, you know, one, it's not me controlling this because, you know, I think an astronaut's controlling it, and I just wanted to see if the lander could do it. I'll be doing when the Kerbals are in there, or humans, astronauts, so who knows, you know what I mean. I'll be doing it by hand, but just wanted to mess around with MechJeb there. As we have a successful landing, and as I said earlier, we will not be returning the lunar lander to the orbit. It's just going to sit here. And the Polaris capsule is going to return by itself because, well, it doesn't have to tow it back, so it's an equal test. There was no reason to bring this back up. We can see how much fuel it has. We know it will make it to orbit. Turning to the Polaris capsule. Just gonna do our return from moon maneuver here. I think, yeah, maneuver. I think I'm having a maneuver planner do it again when the Kerbals astronauts are actually in there. I'll do it by hand, but you know, this is a computer controlling it, so it's kind of realistic. Again, KOS would be a better example, but other than that, it's just see if it survives re-entry, and I'm sure it will. Yep, there we go. Beautiful Firefly at re-entry effects. Just checking the ablator, had over half remaining, so it will be plenty. And don't mind those Kerbals, they are all test dummies as the capsule falls in, and that will be it. And hopefully I'll actually be able to edit something quickly, and we will have a moon landing before the end of the week, which actually happened earlier, but don't worry about that. Bye.